Oh, hello. I was about to type chat test into the YouTube stream, and I see Demon Dreamer is already here. There we are. So, hello, Brian. Goes to Bodefeld, of course, always first. Yeah. How you doing, everybody? Jimmy is in here already. Jimmy just literally, as I was hitting the button, just walked in yelling his head off. Hi, Jimmy. Are we gonna get hey, we got a scrap of foam on your tail. We gotta get rid of that. Jimmy cameo out of the way. Here we go. He's a little freaked out right now because he didn't expect me to be grooming his tail. He had a scrap of foam on his tail because that's an occupational hazard in this room. You should know that. Anyway, hi. We are back building the puppets, but starting as always with my coffee break. Yeah, no, that's my coffee. You can't have that. Don't need it. Trust me. No, don't need coffee. I assume you can hear me. Yes, okay. I can see the mic meter bouncing, therefore you should be able to hear me. Stuff. It very nearly wasn't a build stream because late last week I started to get really low on foam, and it was clear that by the end of the week I was going out of foam. So I ordered some more, logically. And I really prefer to order foam rather than try and go and find some and bring it home, because, you know, I get like a 3 yard long roll of it, right? So I'll be like on the bus with a huge roll of foam. Not heavy, but it's just big and bulky and awkward. It's like if the bus is crowded or whatever, you know, it's one of those situations. So I really prefer to get it delivered. And no problem. I order from my common places. They always send out really quickly. And despite the Canada Post strike still being on, they always send through a different shipper, Canpar, on notice. Because which has never been a problem before, but was this time. So at the first, it got sorted to the wrong driver according to the tracking, and it ended up someplace literally like a city away. So it's like, that's not my address, so I had to sort things out, and it was a whole other day. So I was waiting, should have been here on Monday. It ended up showing up halfway through yesterday. So I had been like most of Tuesday and half of yesterday, Wednesday, at the time of recording, I literally couldn't work because I had no foam, and foam was the next thing that I needed in this whole process of what I'm building this week. So I was scrambling after that to like get caught up, but thankfully I did get caught up, so we are able to go forward with the build stream. That is the long way of saying, get yourself together, Canpar, because I mean, this is not hard. The address was correct, everything was right. They just sorted it to the wrong driver by their own admission, on their own tracking. So, what you gonna do? I'm sure ChatGPT sorted it to the wrong driver. Anyway, hi. Yeah, so we're building puppets. We are going to shoot a tutorial video today as well, which I should get a lozenge going now because I can already feel the dryness. So coffee and a lozenge, which is not a great flavor combination. What you gonna do? Hello, Puppet Chaos. Nice to see you. I see you. Pinecone, Jojo Puppet Studio. Look at hey, everyone's showing up. Nice to see ya. Oh, we are doing okay. Things are okay. Despite it being 2025, at least at the moment, at this specific moment in time, things are okay. That's the best we can say. Let's take our wins when they come, right? Why don't I show you what I got going on? I can feel a sneeze developing. Gotta get this out of the way before we start the tutorial video. To this week, I am working on commissions. I started working on commissions last week, as you all know, with the sloth. The sloth was done. If you haven't seen the pictures of the sloth, go find my socials. There are sloth pictures out there. Quite pleased with how the sloth turned out. And this week, I'm doing a couple of humans. Humans. You know what I'm talking about. So this is where we are. That camera switched quicker than it should have. So obviously I got to do the body, and this is what the tutorial video is going to be about. That's what I got set up here. We're going to talk about more hands. The Puppet Builder's Bane, as always. I got some more tips about doing the hand thing. Don't clip that. That we're going to do a tutorial video on. So I've got it all set up here, ready to go. Here's the 2 humans that I'm working on, and yeah, these are going pretty well. They're looking good. So I'm pleased. Everything's going well. I was hoping to be finished these by Friday. It may push itself actually into Tuesday because Monday it's Thanksgiving weekend in Canada is earlier than the States because the harvest is earlier. That's why. So we're doing like going to the in-laws Sunday, and on Monday it's a stat holiday. And I do try to give myself actual holidays off. So I'll be back at it on Tuesday. Therefore, hopefully these will be finished on Tuesday. That is the goal. And I think we should be there. But yeah, but that's the thing. The podcast is going forward. We are recording tomorrow night. FYI, podcast enjoyers. There will be another one on Saturday morning. So, Bill Jan, hello, nice to see you. I don't even know that's how you're supposed to pronounce your username. I do my best. I read the letters that are on the screen. That's all I can do. So, did a Frankie Play stream last weekend. Some more Freeman. I don't know if I ever announced it actually on the Not Fediverse channels, but Frankie Play, when Frankie plays the video games with the VTuber avatar, is now Fediverse exclusive. So if you want to watch Frankie play, and you do, you gotta do it on PeerTube or Owncast servers. Nowhere else. It's not on Twitch, not on YouTube. So it's my way of saying thank you to the Fediverse, because you know my feelings on that. We actually will be getting into that a little bit on the podcast. So. Anyway, I'm almost ready to go here. I'm all set up. I'm actually like prepared today for a change. So the thing that the tutorial video is going to be on, and I realized this. I actually had a question. I don't actually remember who asked it on this subject. Excuse me for reaching at the camera here. I got to get some fiber foam for the tutorial, or fiber fill, I should say. About let's say you've got your hand insert made, got your fabric skin made, stuffing this into this, not terribly easy. Tips and tricks and that kind of thing. So that's the bulk of what we're going to be covering today. It's kind of how to finish the hand is general broad topic. I'm being not good with words, and that's a bad thing when I'm going to shoot a tutorial video. Oh no. Fine. What I need is more coffee. See, we can get a gauge on the stream health here. Everything looks okay. Everything looks good. Yes. 0 dropped frames. Thank you, Linux. Hey, I'm going to keep pushing my own agenda. Get you on Linux and the Fediverse. Be happier. And then after that, let's say, so obviously the priority is shooting the tutorial video. And then I really just have to work on, this is going to switch too quickly, isn't it? Yep. I got to put a little delay in there. I don't know why it changed, but it did. So I think the next thing after that is I got to put boning the bodies here, because this is quite soft foam, so I need some structure in there. And then I usually do these bodies with scraping, so maybe we'll put that on stream. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what the time is like. and do a vibe check and where my how many spoons I have at that point. Everybody needs to manage their spoon economy these days. So yeah. I also have to make some ears because these being humans, they of course will probably be better with ears. So there is that. For this one, the pointy-headed one, I'm gonna have glasses. So yeah, and it's gonna be very similar to the basis of it was the client wanted something very much like a previous human that I'd built that is actually currently working for our friends on the Puppet front. It's Lenny on the Puppet front. Hard to say. If you know them, then you know they do good work. And so that was like, oh, I really love this. Could you make something like this? And I was like, yeah, I can make something like it. I don't want to make a replica, obviously, because it's already an established character on another channel. So, but that's the starting point. So obviously already it's a different color. It's going to be an orange rather than blue of Lenny. So, and I think this one will actually have eyes. I think I'll do little bead eyes and maybe even eyebrows. We'll see. So that's fun. I'll watch their work. See, there we go. Yeah, Lenny on the Puppet front. And I also made, I can't remember the name of the female character. The kind of Ramones-ish girl. I made her as well. I didn't make her costume. That's something that they did, or they sourced themselves, but I did make the puppet. So, they do good work. They're good people. So yeah, we should probably just shoot this tutorial. We're gonna let people, give people a chance to filter in a little bit here. And yeah, that's where we're at. So yeah. So we got stuff going on. We are still doing the short form videos on the TikToks and Instagram Reels, and I'm posting it everywhere basically. I don't like forcing people to be on a platform unless it's the Fediverse. That'll force you to be on. That's just for fun, obviously. So that's the thing. It's like, you know, Frankie Play. No one cares about Frankie Play other than me and some select fans. So that's a little treat for that. And are you punk rock fans? I wouldn't if I were you. That seems like a bad idea. No, it's true. Okay. I mean, look at me. I'm a, you know, I'm a refugee from the 80s. You know where I'm at with that kind of stuff. I'm like, yep, I know that. I was there. Quote my, one of my spouse's favorite jokes, maybe one day Joey Ramone will learn to count. You know. Yeah, we should probably just get going with a tutorial video. You're gonna force me to go to the Fediverse all day long. Wait until NT unblocks it at work. I'm stuck on YouTube. That's terrible. You could go to YouTube, you know, the infectious disease vector of Western society, but you can't go to the Fediverse. That's silly. I guess probably because the executives want to go to the YouTubes. You need a VPN is what you need. Yeah, okay. Anyway, tutorials. I am not ready. I am not mentally ready to do this. We're just gonna have to go and hope that it's all fine, and trust Frankie's editing abilities, because I don't know why. Language bad today. I don't know why. I feel fine. I slept okay. Hardman using it for training videos. Yeah, I know. If you're big enough, then the rules don't apply to you. The lesson of 2025. Enough of my personal agenda. More coffee. You know, Already had most of a pot, literally. Fediverse got the Give Me Online Award today. Oh, what is? Oh, Grime. I'll check that link later. I cannot verify that link. Okay, good. Copy and paste that at your own risk. I gotta say those things. I'm running the stream. Anyway, I'm going to hide the chat momentarily, and we're going to start the intro. Let me just check my cameras before we get going on this. That's probably a good idea. Check the overhead camera. Overhead camera, good. The close-up camera. Close-up camera, good. That's really all we're going to use. And the wide camera, of course, we know how that works. Okay. All right. I think we're good. I'm just going to go. We're just going to start. Where are we at here? 10:13, 10:14. We've only been rolling 18 minutes according to timer. Okay. Yeah. See, the thing about that is, there's been a wave of Russian-backed stuff on the Fediverse lately. I, just for the sake of hopefully containment, I apologize if that was a legit link. However, there has been a wave of Russian hacking on the Fediverse in general, so I'm being careful. Do message me privately if that was all okay, and I will check it later. All right. Anyway, this is why I need mods. A mod, Frankie, do something. Anyway, I'm gonna just make the tutorial video because maybe, hopefully, then my brain will kick in. So I'm gonna hide the chat from the stream. I can still read it, so don't worry. You all just won't be able to communicate with each other. It's okay, do puppets instead. Thank you. I do apologize if that was a legit link, but I'm just being careful. I don't want to spread bad stuff, so. Just go. Just gonna do the thing. Making sure I know where Jimmy is. Because he's gonna walk in yelling at some point, I guarantee. Okay. Hello, and welcome to another tips, tricks, and you know what? Before I do, that was the intro, kind of. I want to do a clap so I can see on the edit where the audio is, so I know to start there. So, clap. Hello, and welcome to another tips, tricks, and tutorials video. And this time, we're going back to the well, the nemesis of all puppet builders. Yes, we're talking more about hands. So to preface this, I am in fact recording this during a live stream, and to minimize the amount of editing that Frankie will have to do if I do have to attend to something in stream chat, which you cannot see, but I can. That's what's going to happen there. So just bear with me, and I'll get back to the tutorial as soon as I possibly can. But what are we doing today? So we have talked about hands before. I actually had to go back and check my playlist to make sure I hadn't done this already, but I haven't, and this is a good and I think common stumbling block that a lot of people have. And I know this was a big thing for me when I started out, was trying to figure out how to do this, do it well. I've got a few tricks, so we will be talking about more hands. Last time we covered how to sew. So let's say you've done it. You've got your skin, you've got a hand or an arm, and you've also got insert that's going to go in there. Now, in my case, I do permanent arm rods almost always. There are ways of doing, there's a pocket technique that I know that Swazzle does a lot. That's very good to do. It's also very time consuming. I tend to just do permanent arm rods because it's just quicker. These are this is 2 layers of foam with a hand plate that I 3D print myself, and there's wire armature, so the fingers will in fact bend and stay where you bend them. And that is a very standard way of doing it. So let's say you've got your hand insert, however you've made it, cover that in a future tutorial. And you've got your skin. Now, if you've made the skin the way that is standard, you've got a little gap in the skin. This is the hole through which you are going to stuff this. Problem. This is much, much bigger than this. What are you going to do? And I know that for a lot of standard patterns, it seems like, and usually is the case, that this gap is way too small to try and stuff this in. So what are you gonna do? That is the first challenge. Second challenge is, let me go to the overhead cam here. So let's say that you figured this part out. You are stuffing your insert into the skin. The problem is, if you've made your insert in the standard way, hopefully the wire armature is not going all the way to the end, or particularly not poking out the end. That is very bad. You don't ever want to do that. You want to avoid, you want foam around there, so it's not going to puncture through the skin, obviously. But that means you've got a little squishy bit at the top, at the tip of the fingers here. And when you go to stuff this in anything that's as tight as something like this skin, it's just going to crush, right? It's just going to flatten, and you're going to end up with like a big gap, a big floppy end onto the finger, and that doesn't look good. So what do you do about that? That's what I'm going to talk about here. And now this is one of those turn the chair around backwards and get serious moments. This is only my technique. I don't know if there's a standard technique for doing this kind of thing. There's another way of doing this entirely, FYI, and that is really obviously better, but it is also much, much slower, and that is to cut 2 pieces of fabric, lay that over, and then ladder stitch them closed while it's on the hand. That is by far a superior way of doing this because it just looks better. The seam is blended better. It is much less stressful. You are not going to have the crushing problem that you have trying to stuff this into a tube. It is also much, much slower, and you don't always have that kind of time. Right, so it really depends on your time and money budget, how you're going to go about this. This is the way I do it standard. If I have the time, I will generally take the time to ladder stitch this closed manually, but again, we're talking like hours and hours of time. So if you are doing it the more standard, quick way, this is how the techniques that I have developed to deal with these common problems. So we've got 2 problems that we're tackling. 1, we need a bigger hole, and 2, we do make it so the finger crush isn't an issue. And those are both solvable problems, thankfully, and that's what I'm going to share with you, my particular solutions to that. These are not standard techniques. There is no standard technique as far as I'm aware for this. If this doesn't meet your needs, by all means, you know, do something else, or maybe you can use this as a basis to develop your own technique. And by all means, share it with people, because these are stumbling blocks that I think a lot of beginners deal with. And I remember this being the first huge challenge that I just was like, oh no, what am I going to do? This is not easy. When I was first learning puppet building, this was the first big like, oh wait, hang on, a moment that I had. So that's why I think this is probably going to be a helpful tutorial video for somebody. So let's talk about the first problem first. Let's go to the close-up cam and I'll show you what I do. I got the pattern out here because this is the standard pattern that I use for all 3 of these. And this just shows you, like, I don't really mark where the gap is. I just kind of sew it based on vibes at the time. So this gap is often, it feels right when I'm sewing it, but I often find that this is too small when the time comes. But stuff it. So if you're working from an existing pattern that has marked out where the gap is, or you're doing a vibe thing like me and you make it too small by accident, this is how to deal with that. So if this hole isn't big enough. The other thing is, there's no real reason to make this very small. You can make this as big as you need, as long as you don't mind, because what we're going to do afterwards is ladder stitch this closed. So all you're going to have to do is just a longer ladder stitch. And the more room you have down here, the easier this is going to be, and the less traumatic and the less force you're going to need. So by all means, make your the entrance point here as big as you need it to be. Clip that either. So I just wanted to show that because I don't mark it on the pattern. This is just, and I made this pattern on stream, FYI. If you go back and watch the old designing a puppet from scratch, this is part of that playlist. So this is that hand, and I still use it all the time. So let me just put that aside. I just wanted to sort of demonstrate that I don't actually have a standard size gap. Now, when this gets sewn, of course, you're going to do a back stitch, so you're going to lock this off. So this isn't going to like fray, this isn't going to open. You want to lock that off. Just going to do a little quick back stitch. Standard stuff. But if this is too small, as in this case it is, what are you going to do? So, first tip is where you're deciding to make the gap on the bottom, make sure you start the gap. Use a scissors here, a pointer. Actually, you know what? Let's do it like this. Here, this is a good way of doing it. We will do it overhead. Oh. Kind of, yeah. Okay. If I could zoom in. Try that. Don't even bother editing this out, Frankie. This is valuable stuff. Okay, here we go. So let's say you've got your pattern, and let me just get a pencil here. And you're deciding where you want to put the gap to put the insert in. Always start the gap. Like sometimes I've seen the gap will start at the very tip of the pinky here. That's not a good place. You want to have enough of a fingertip there that it will kind of create a little socket and it will hold whatever you're stuffing in there. And as well, you want to make the start of the gap past the point at which you've got the kind of dip in the fingers here. So of course this is drawn there because I've got some tape on there. But you want to start it past this point. You never want to start it up here because you're going to have a really hard time getting the middle and index and thumb in there. You always want to start it after this dip right here. So you probably start it around here, right? Because if you look, that is after that. And then just go as far down as you think you need. I probably should have gone like down to that point. That probably looks better than what I did. But let's say that you didn't do that, that you did make a too small a gap. What are you gonna do? Well, back to close-up cam. What you don't want to do is then take this gap. Basically, you need to make this hole bigger. But what you don't want to do is you don't want to take your pair of scissors and go in here and cut along the seam, right? Don't do that, because what you're going to do then, of course, is open the seam up, and all of that thread, if you sew this on a machine or not, all of that thread is going to come unraveled. The whole thing will just undo. You don't want it. You don't want that. So what you're going to do instead to make this gap bigger is you're going to cut. You're going to continue this hole, but you're going to cut next to the seam. You're not going to cut on the seam itself. Let me just do that. It will create a little kind of edge there. That's a good shot, yeah. But that's it. That's how you make this bigger. And that means that this thread won't come unraveled. This is still locked. And then when you ladder stitch it closed, you just ladder stitch it closed and it all looks fine. That's how you make gap bigger. That's tip 1. Tip 2 is how do you deal with the finger crushing issue? This is the big one. There are a number of ways you could deal with it. One is to just make the skin big enough so that there's enough room in there to get the stuffing in there. But that's probably not going to look great. You want the skin as tight as possible. So what you're going to do is you need to put something in there that will act as a bit of a cushion. Hello, everybody in chat. I see you. I'm shooting a tutorial video right now, so I will answer your questions momentarily. Hello, Dylan. Thank you, Indy. Indy, as always, on the Goldie. So what you're going to do is you just want to stuff something in there that will pad this out. So basically, you're not going to stop the crushing. You're just going to accommodate for the crushing. Now, of course, the whole goal here is to go like this, is to be able to bend the finger with the wire armature. Well, that's not going to change. It's just that the tip is going to get squashed down, but it's foam. It's supposed to get squashed. That's fine. It's not going to look any different. What you're going to do, or at least what I do instead, is I take some of this. This is Fiberfill, aka teddy bear stuffing. And what I'll do, before I ever even attempt to stuff anything in there, is I'll take a little bundle of Fiberfill, and maybe the overhead camera is better for this. Just don't have to move it around. That zoomed in pretty good, actually. Let me get a little tool here to help us. Probably gonna do that. Any blunt-ended thin object, I just use a marker that has a round tip here. This marker is actually dried out a long time ago. It's just so conveniently shaped that I keep it around. So you're gonna sort of wad this up, make a little bundle. And then you're just gonna stuff that at the end of the finger. You're gonna do that for every finger. And that's it. Jojo had a recommendation for a tool for bending arm rods. I believe, would this be the tool? Because yes, it is a very good tool. You are correct. I'm not even going to edit that out. We'll cover that in a future video. But yeah, that's it. I basically just stuff a little bit of Fiberfill, tips of the fingers. This will not affect the bending profile, as it were. It will still bend, just like normal, but this will compensate for the crushing of the fingertip. So that's it. And you put in as much as you kind of just vibe check it, you kind of feel it out. And once it's in there, you want to kind of pack it fairly tight. So that's why I've got a little tool here. Just going to kind of get down there and kind of wad it into place. I keep thinking like you're loading a flintlock pistol or something, you know? Like I don't know why my brain immediately went to that, but I assume it's like that, or like a, you know, a cannon on a pirate ship or something. You know, practice. But that's it. That's all that we do. And it's going to look a little strange. It's going to look a little bulbous, of course, but it's because it is. That's good. You want that. You want to flesh this out. Don't use too much. It's better to use a little bit and then see, and then use a little bit and see. Don't go nuts to start. Just get a little bit in there, see how it looks. You can't really predict how much it's going to crush, so just gonna have to deal with it. And remember, this stuff is soft, so it will compress too. So there we go. Now we've got some stuffing in the tip of each finger, and we went a fair distance down. As you can see, that about down to there is where stuffing is. So now we can start stuffing. So this is where it can still be a bit tricky. Hopefully you've got a big enough gap in here. It's okay to squeeze a little bit. You are going to have to apply some force. So hopefully you did this on a machine, and you can give it a little bit of a, a little bit of a heft. But I always try and start. Don't worry about bending this out of shape, because if you've made this, with wire armature that's supposed to be bent out of shape and bent back into shape. So I'm going to start with the thumb. We're just going to kind of poke it in there. And the important thing that I have found is just kind of get the fingertips seated. Start. You're going to start with the farthest one and then work your way forward. Thumb is seated. The index finger more or less seated. This is one of the reasons why puppet builders don't like multiple fingers. We like to limit the number of fingers, because it means that you have to do this less. And we're going to get the middle one seated here. You can see the crushing already. You can see that starting to flatten out right there. That's what the tip is right here. And then as you try to not hit yourself in the face with the arm rod, believe me, I had hit myself in the face with so many arm rods. Surprised I still have a face and arm rods. So there we go. We've just kind of seated them in there, and this still seems like it's going to be a tough squeeze, and it is a little bit, but it's not that bad. Once you've got this all seated, you can kind of just slowly work it down. Feeling how much like a Simpsons arm this is looking. It's that color. So kind of there. That's kind of it. Once you're in, I always sort of stick a thumb in both sides like that, and I just kind of massage it down. You want to be firm but not violent. You want to get in there, but you do want to work it. The more you work it and the more you massage it, the better it's going to be. And it will probably have a bit of unevenness because of the crushing. That will actually smooth out over time, because the thing about the crushing of the foam is over time that will relax and it will sort of expand and uncrush. So don't worry too much about some lumpiness. And you could also just get in there and just massage it. Make it feel nice. Puppets like a good massage, just like everybody else. So there we go. And that is it. That is it. Congratulations. You have successfully put a puppet skin on a puppet hand insert. Now, the next part. What do you do about this, right? Because you've got this big gap in here now. That, thankfully, is relatively simple. This is where the ladder stitch comes in handy. Ladder stitch is used for a couple of different reasons. The first reason that it's used is not the reason that you will almost always hear, and that it blends the seam well. That is more or less true, but there are better seams for blending the fibers, and also better sewing techniques for blending the fibers than the ladder stitch. Ladder stitches will show your seams just as bad as anything else if you still have the fibers packed down in the thread. That's the thing. It's about not getting those fibers out of the thread. It's not about the stitch you use. But the reason that we do use a ladder stitch, and this is a very good example, is you want to use it in a place where you're putting something on the exterior of the puppet and you don't have access to the interior, right? And this is a really good example. Like, we can't get inside there to sew it closed. We have to sew it closed from the outside. So that's where a ladder stitch comes in handy. So let's see if we can go to the close-up cam. I'll try and demonstrate this on camera. This is a very tricky thing to do on camera, but let's see if we can get her going here. Actually, we'll forgive the shaky cam. Let me see if I can turn this around and I can do it a little bit easier this way. We'll have this be on camera. This is very awkward. Ghost of Bodefeld has said in the chat, it's like trying to put rubber gloves on your hand when your hands are wet. Yes, it is very much like that. So this is not going to work. Sorry, I'm gonna have to do it this way. And I'll put it in and then I'll kind of show it, but I have to be able to see it obviously. That's the tricky part. So I've got some thread here already. One thing I have found to be very handy for doing this kind of thing, any ladder stitching, which we're doing on the outside, is to use a curved needle like this. This is just an upholstery needle. And this is very helpful because it will sort of help you maneuver and get around things. So the very first thing I'll do is I'll start by going in at the back end. So we're going to start at the back and work towards the front. And I'll just put it in the gap. And I'll insert it over through one side first and pull it through. Got a knot at the end. And then we're just going to loop this around through. Pull that tight. You are going to have a little bit of a knot down there, but the reason that we're starting at the back is because you won't really see that. So then we just start our ladder stitch. So then we go from one side. Is it on camera? More or less. I have to look at this and try and make this be on camera at the same time, not be. So we're going to the other side. It's really tough to demonstrate stitches on camera. I learned it from the internet, from various sewing channel videos. That's where I recommend you learn this too, because I don't have the camera set up to be able to do this, to teach you a stitch very well, which is probably a problem, but at any rate, that's what I'm doing. I'm just ladder stitching back and forth. Now, when you get up to the rod, ow, I just poked myself. I'll show you what we do when we get up to the rod. And I generally just try and, like, every few stitches, I'll sort of straighten this out and flatten it. This does take some time. It's a bit quicker when I can not be doing it on camera because it's more comfortable. But, you know, sacrifices I make. Okay, so let's say you're up to the rod. Usually what I'll do is at this point, you want to kind of strengthen it. So I'll throw in a few whip stitches. I'll just like go around and around and around on one side, ladder stitch it to the other side, do a few whip stitches, and that will kind of anchor it in place. I want to really kind of get it nice and tight. Sorry. Also really awkward. Rod point in that direction. I'll show you what I do normally, actually, just so you can see. This is the way you're more likely to be doing it. When I'm doing this and I'm not trying to do it on camera, I'm usually like this. I'm holding it with the rod straight up and stitching it like this, which is way easier I'm trying to show it on camera. So I'm just going to keep going to the other side here, in the interest of actually getting this tutorial video shot. Let's go back to the close-up. Stream Deck. So there, that's all I've done. Is I've just done whip stitch, whip stitch, whip stitch, ladder stitch, whip stitch, whip stitch. That's it. And obviously you want to blend the thread color with the fleece color. If you're trying to do this on fur, which is a thing that you would be potentially doing, not easy. It's even harder because of course it's the same technique, but you've got all this fur in the way. You really just have to kind of just take each stitch as a separate bent and just kind of brush the fur out of the way, your stitch, brush the fur out of the way. It takes a very long time. But that's how you do it. You have to be a bit careful with these because these are for a client build, so. There we go. That's it. Just ladder stitching it closed all the way. So I think at this point I'll see about doing either getting Frankie to do either a clock wipe or a time lapse. But that's it. Anyway, I'm gonna go back to this camera. We're just gonna do a wipe here. Because what's the point of watching me sit here and sew this close? That's for you people on stream. All right, we're getting there. You want to keep your ladder stitches as small as you can, but you don't have to be too obsessive about it. Particularly not in a location like this, because this is really going to be hidden. When you think about how the performer or how the puppet's going to be performed, you really never see this, right? So you don't have to be perfect. I often say perfect is the enemy of good. Hopefully I'll remember to actually leave that in. Okay, we're almost there. So it doesn't take that long, really. I do have to do 3 more of these, so, you know. All right, we're gonna... I love hitting myself in the face swing of an arm. Seriously, there's like a rhythm to it, right? You learn that just go one side, then the other. But yeah, no, I'm often knocking my glasses off actually when I'm doing this. Hasn't happened yet, but they're not done yet. Okay, call it there. All right, hopefully the time lapse or clock wipe is done, and we're gonna go back to and we're gonna finish this now. So here we go. We are closed up, and that looks pretty good. You know, you can't really, sorry for the shake, you can't really see the seam. Once you get to the end, what I always do is I'll just throw some whip stitches in there, and then you just let it be. Don't worry about hiding the final stitch too much. It's more important that this stays closed and is strong. You are going to see the thread here. That is a fact of life. But because it's on the underside of the hand, chances are it's never really fixed. So doing 3 whip stitches, I believe, is like the industry standard. I'm not quite sure why. It's quite strong. So there we go. 3 whip stitches. Then I'm going to do 1 more and then tie it off. Sure, that's some slack here. And once there's a loop, before you pull it through one more time, and that will create a knot. And gently close that knot. Boom, there you go. Now, you want to cut the thread as close to the surface as you can without cutting the stitching that you just did, obviously. But you don't want a big long tail on this. You want to snip this right down to the surface. Boom, like that. And then you can just kind of, pick the fibers out. And there we go. And that is it. And like I say, once this is done, then you can bend the fingers into shape and you can see, no problem. This actually looks quite good. You've got a perfectly cromulent hand with no real fuss. So there we go. That is it. You will and can conquer puppet hands with enough patience and enough practice. As I appear to be losing my voice, I think we'll call it there. So thank you. Stay tuned as always for more tips, tricks, and tutorials, and I hope you have a very nice day. Cut with a clap. Okay, let's get chat back. Hello, nice to see you. Let's see, we had some questions or something. Thoughts on selling handmade puppets on Facebook Marketplace? Is it a good place to start? I don't know, I've never tried. I have, in theory, canceled my Facebook, although it was my personal account that got deleted, and the Operation Puppet Facebook page apparently still exists and nobody can access it for admin purposes. It is a zombie. So do not go to Operation Puppet Facebook page. It is like long dead. However, I've never tried, so I don't know. I only sell on Etsy and my own direct shop, and I wish I could get off Etsy because it's terrible. Any large platform is going to have a very large markup. So if you can like, get a WordPress blog set up instead of WooCommerce, that is your best bet for the smallest amount of vendor fee possible. So there is that. Thank you. Thank you for the tutorial. FYI, the Grime Award is comparable to the Peabody Award in the US. Okay, thank you. So that link that I deleted was legit. If you want to add it back, by all means, go right ahead. Facebook Marketplace has not been very successful for me. Okay, there we go. So I don't know. I am dubious about such a place. The thing about Etsy, although I do badmouth it, is at least with Etsy, you're kind of already at a target audience, right? Because people go to Etsy still for some reason to look for artists making things, right? So you already kind of got a head start there. Facebook Marketplace is just like a fire hose, right? So it's like, who's looking for puppets on Facebook Marketplace? That's the question, right? You go to where the people are, go to where the audience is, right? So, and once you make a name for yourself, hopefully you can migrate some of those people at least over to your own direct shop. And that is the goal, that is the best. So that would be my advice there. That's at least what I've done. So, my success hopefully will guide you. So there we go. Okay, that's why the people in the German Fediverse are over the top today. Gotcha. Okay, good stuff. And a Feda forum is also happening today. I've seen much people post about that. I really should get involved with that at some point. How much does a curved needle help when it comes to sewing puppets? For something like this, a lot. I use curved needles for when I'm ladder stitching, and that's ladder stitching anything, like if I'm sewing a nose or ears or something on, I'm always using a curved needle. It helps a lot. It helps you get smaller ladder stitches, which is nice. It just looks better. Because a flat, a straight needle just can't get you can't go in and out of the fabric in as tight a space as you can with a curved one. So yeah, I would highly recommend curved needles, not for everything, but for doing this kind of thing, for when you're ladder stitching something from the outside. That is really, really helpful. So there we go. Whew, that's the whole thing. I'm going to be editing that for a while, I think. Actually, that won't be enough. I've kind of relaxed my editing policies on that kind of thing. Where are we at here? 10:53. We're almost halfway through the stream, and I don't really know what I'm going to do for the rest of the stream. Well, I got to do some boning, and I got to finish stuffing these hands. But that's like, as you see, it's not time to. I can do that after lunch. So maybe we'll do the boning next, which means I got to get the barge out. Gotta get the whole rig going. My nose is also a bit runny, so excuse me. I'm going to mute the mic. It's a moot point. Frankie only edits when I really pressure him. Sometimes it's me, sometimes it's Frankie. Frankie should be able to add some graphics and a bit of music. I had music over the top of this music already. Anyway, to put over me just play to the tree for my eyes. Well, and you've come to the right place. But it is almost time for my coffee break, and this is almost empty. So I am going to go grab another cup, and I will be right back with you momentarily. Talk amongst yourselves. All right, here we go. More coffee. So I was thinking actually, if I do the announcements, like stuff that's happening at the beginning, the middle, and the end, that makes the most sense, right? Because I'll do the most coverage. Some people will hear it more than once, but I think that will allow for the most probable number of people to hear the announcements. So the announcements are, tomorrow we are recording the podcast, so that will be out on Saturday morning. Pixelsandpuppets.com. Be all of the links for that. Last weekend we did a Frankie Play stream on the Fediverse. Frankie Play is exclusive to the Fediverse, so the PeerTube and Owncast servers. I will not be back at work until Tuesday because this weekend is Canadian Thanksgiving weekend, so Monday is a holiday. But other than that, business as usual. We are doing commission work this week and next week, and probably for a couple more weeks as well. There's a few commissions in the queue, so look forward to that. Canada Post strike continues. It may be closing soon. We will see, or coming to a conclusion soon. There are rumblings in the ether, so hopefully that will end soon, and I'll be able to get some of the shipments that are waiting to go out. Oh, good. Thank you, Pinecone. Yeah, no, believe me, if you listen to the podcast, I love hearing that people listen to the podcast because I really don't have good data about I see how many downloads it gets, which is, okay, but that doesn't really give me an indication of the people who listen to the podcast. So by all means, if you listen to the podcast, just telling me you listen to the podcast makes my freaking day. I'll tell you. So it's it's good. It's fun to do. We enjoy doing it. So it's and that is kind of the point. And we got some stuff to talk about this weekend. There's things occurring, events are occurring around the both Puppet and Tech sphere. So stuff is happening. Too much stuff is happening. Welcome to 2025. Too much stuff is happening. But yeah, so next, I think the boning is probably the best, or the next thing. All right, nice, good to hear. Oh, I know what I didn't announce. Yeah, the Warframe clan. If you play Warframe or are thinking about playing Warframe and you want to join a very small clan, the official Operation Puppet Warframe clan is accepting members. By all means, get in touch and hook you up. Basically, I'm just trying to make my Warframe experience more social, and I would love to hang out with y'all and play a fun game. So, if you're at all curious about Warframe, I can help. So, go. So yeah, we were recording the new podcast episode tomorrow night, so it will be out on Saturday morning. So, pixelsandpuppets.com, all the links, all of the links are on operationpuppet.com. That's the other thing I added recently, was not just the Fediverse stuff, but all of my social links are now at the very top of the page at operationpuppet.com. So just go there. Everything is on operationpuppet.com. You can find all of my things there. So yeah. What else was there? We're doing more short form video stuff. So there's the TikToks and the YouTube shorts and the Reels, and I'm just posting stuff on regular accounts on Mastodon and Blue Sky. So yeah, short form. They're actually kind of fun. I'm getting the hang of the short form video thing, I think, or I'm at least finding a way of doing it that I enjoy or like. It's by no means what's popular or the style of humor that is, the kids today on the TikToks, but I can't do that. That's not who I am. I gotta be me. So, All right, enough yapping. More puppets. More lozenge. So next, let's go to the wide camera. Next, I have to put the boning. The human bodies always get boning in the top and bottom, so that is really the next step for me in these builds. And then after the boning is in, I can do the skin fleece. So that is next. Get set up here. Go to the overhead cam and zoom out on the overhead cam. Too much. That. Whatever the shaky cam. This pup is very close to the cam. Boning. Yes. Yes. Where did I put my boning? I don't know. I gotta stop cleaning up. I'll find it. There it is. Brand new. I used up all the previous, so this is a brand new package of boning. It's huge. Look at the size of this thing. Okay. I did a tutorial video on boning relatively recently, so I'm not going to go through it step by step, because you can just go back and watch that tutorial video. However, get set up here. Marker. Some gaff tape. I like the height difference between how those puppets sit on the stands. I know that is kind of coincidental, but it is kind of going to feel that way anyway. Just because this one's got a pointy head, right? So, you know, and it also depends on the height of the performers, frankly. So, you know, yes, it is seem very appropriate. I mean, we got a Bert and Ernie thing going on here, you know. Kinda. It's almost like that was intentional. Me intend something? Don't be silly. All right, I'm just making some small pieces of gaff tape here and sticking them on the side here, ready to go for the boning. Make up your own jokes. I'm gonna move these heads aside because we just need to work with the bodies. I don't need extra stuff flopping around. However, Bert and Ernie, you know what? Now that you mention it, I didn't even realize that when I picked the colors. It's like, oh, yep, okay, sure. Well, this isn't terribly Bert-like, because of the big underbite, right? You couldn't really see that in the previous camera shot, but yeah, no. That one's got an underbite and this one's got an overbite. Okay, here we go. This is why they were different heights, because you can see the paper towel stands that they were on are different heights. So. Now the question is, do I want to trim this? No, that seems okay. Don't need to trim it. Sometimes if the opening is a little small at the top there, I'll sort of bevel the edge. But I don't do that in this case. That's quite a decent clearance. So let's just go. Top cam out, overhead cam out. Boom. Bad. Okay. I do have to stand up for this actually because I need to see for the top here. So, as always, we're going to take, just eyeball it, make a circle, put yay big, cut more than you need. Put it in the space where it's going to live. Let it, oh, I eyeballed that pretty good. Almost exactly right. I don't even think I'm going to need to trim that. I will a little bit. Mark it. And I usually leave about, you know, a centimeter, or I don't know, what, half an inch or so. Like that. And then keep it closed, starting on the inside so the rough edge is not pressing up against the performer's skin. There. And we'll just go here, like so. All good. Okay. That's going to get glued in. I'm just placing it in there for the moment. FYI. That will be glued. Oh yes, there will be glue. Alright, I try to not waste a lot, so I really try and get down to how much to here. Cut off a little bit more. That's probably a lot more than I need, but oh well. 2025, what does it matter? Catch up on the podcast while we do it. This weekend, I'm working on my big vehicle project. Yeah, I've been seeing you posting videos. I haven't had time to watch any of them yet, but I do see you posting videos, Indy. Go watch Indy's videos. Working on large vehicles. All right. Put there. All right. Now, these should in theory be a standard size because it's all from the same pattern, but in practice, there's slight variations always that, for me, it makes it worth it to just custom make the sizes of the boning every time. Even if you do end up with identical ones, it's still worth the effort to tailor each one. Soft materials, you know. You know. I did the biggest YouTuber mistake ever. Look at the analytics, but oh no, don't ever do that. You know what'll cure you of that? Being on the Fediverse. It don't matter on the Fediverse. Never look at the numbers, Indy. Never. Numbers are meaningless. Particularly in 2025. Okay. How's that going? That'd actually be a little bit large, but I'm not going to worry about that. These are going to be clothed, have garments, or infant clothing, as I have also previously demonstrated. So, yeah, that will do. It will do. It's a little bit flared out, but it's fine. All right, that is one. We'll do the other, and then we will get the barge. And open the window, and get the full gear. All that. All that stuff. And put it there. Yeah, honestly, Andy, I don't know how anybody breaks through these days. It's impossible. In the post-organic internet world, it is not, there's nothing you can do other than just try and be viral for some reason. Which I'm gonna let you know, that's probably not a lot of fun. Right, we're getting the danger honey. The most dangerous honey. Actually, there may be even more danger honey in that. It's a kind of honey that's made by, oh gosh, I can't even remember. There's a type of mead that is made from honey by these particular bees or wasps or something that is actually A, poisonous, and B, highly hallucinogenic. Pro tip, don't drink a lot of it. apparently, according to sources. I used to actually brew mead. I don't know if I've ever talked about that. I have, in fact, brewed mead. Not in a post-diabetes diagnosis, of course. Actually, it would probably be fine because very little sugar content. Mead is delicious, by the way. You know. Mead is basically is honey, or it's honey that's been fermented. It's basically honey alcohol, but instead of getting the sugars from fruit, as in wine, it gets it from honey. And made right, it's delicious. It's quite easy to make too. One of the earliest fermented beverages that we know of. I'm talking about mead on the puppet show for some reason. Or the mead brewing. It's really quite easy. You got to be very careful with hygiene, of course. You need very hygienic conditions to sterilize your equipment very well. But it's really just take honey, water, and yeast and mix them together and then let them sit for a long time. It's hard to control the actual alcohol percentage, so you're kind of rolling the dice. There are ways of measuring it with specific gravity, but it's the actual process, as long as you can get your equipment sterilized, is really quite easy. All right, there we go. We have all of our boning prepared. Now we will get the danger honey. Go to this. Yeah, look up for that like weird dangerous mead. It's called literal danger honey. Mad honey. Look up mad honey. I think it's the thing. Yeah, no, mead is really delicious. Good meat. It's delicious. There's also bad meat, of course, but it's easy to make bad meat. Even easier than making good meat. But it's just practice. It's like everything else. Danger honey. That's it. Here we go. The danger honey. I'm also going to take my rings off, of course. Get gloves, of course. And I think what I'm going to do is I'll put the boning in, and then we're going to call it there, because then I just have to do like grunt work stuff necessarily. Stream worthy, so I don't know. I gotta put the fan in the window. Forgive the mic spike right there. I can see. We get the window going, so we got our ventilation, and I gotta close the door. Make Jimmy upset. Let's see, which way is this fan pointing? Okay. It was really, at the beginning of the week, it was really hot, and now fall has returned, and I welcome it. But now it's actually can be a little chilly. Okay, the chamber is sealed. One last swig of coffee before the mask goes on. Get our gloves out here. One last lozenge before I'm touching things that will poison me. And gloves go on. Also going to put a piece of paper on to try and protect my work surface in case some glue gets about. Okay. Yep, time for the PPE. You are right. Speaking of which, this mic is already on. Probably going to get loud and stupid for a second, so bear with me. Alright, how's that? Yep, take your health seriously. Like, I don't do this because I look cool, although I do look cool. Here we are. That's a look. Okay. We got a piece of paper here to protect the work surface. This is probably glued shut. Yep. So, hit it with a hairdryer. We'll keep that handy because we're going to need it. There we go. Now it's easy. Okay, this is a relatively new tin of barge too, so it's quite full. So I'm going to start by putting the glue on the actual boning. You are going to get, this is very messy work, so you are going to get glue on your guns. I'd use a heat gun. I do have a heat gun. It's annoying to like pull the heat gun out and get it hooked up. The hairdryer does just fine. The heat gun, I'd be afraid is a little too hot, and you don't want to get this stuff too hot. It can literally catch on fire. So, probably not what you want. All right. Getting the danger honey going. As always, thin, light coats. Don't put a lot on. Don't get it all gloppy and drippy. 2 least popular dwarves. These are the jokes, folks. And with a little plastic on and collectors. Yeah. Oh yeah. I use the heat gun mostly for putting the heat shrink on arm rods. I will also occasionally use it for shaping plastic. But even then I will find that very often I prefer the gentle heat and to just kind of do it slowly in stages rather than try and control a heat gun. Heat guns get very hot. I don't know if you do, but heat guns they make a lot of heat. All right, there we go. Now we're just going to put some glue on here.
This is riveting. How could you not want to build puppets after watching this? Okay. That's the bottom. Maybe the top. You see, all I'm doing is I'm just putting like a little rim of glue around the edge there. That's all. So I'm looking for the word that is not allowed. Oh, really? Something. the auto mod disabled the word on it? Okay. Interesting. I'm curious. I want to know which one it was. Although you can't tell us when you find it. Let's see if I can look in the logs later and find it. Really? Okay, I'm going to take a look at the Ohmcast mod settings then, because maybe they're a bit too aggressive. With that kind of thing, I'd rather err on the side of caution, to be honest, but... Use heat shrink for elbows and knees. I have no idea what would be disallowed. Cartilage. Okay. So now we're gonna just dry that off. Yeah, that's a good point. If you're not on the Discord server, go to operationpuppet.com. Join the Discord. Say it in there. We're just trying to trick you into joining the Discord. Is it working? All right, I gotta stand up for this part. Shameless plug, yeah. Yeah, I apologize, Solitaire. I have no idea why. It's something to do with the auto settings. I will investigate after the stream. All right. One down. And one to go. All right. It's the big one. Yeah, this is the problem with being a one-person operation. I actually need to wait till after the stream to check all that stuff. Okay. Yes. Getting kind of cramped in here. I can move some stuff out of the way. That is the eternal struggle, is working in a fairly small space. I mean, at least I'm lucky enough to have a whole room I can dedicate to this. Always count your blessings, kids. There's more than you might think. All right. Oops. Get off of there. How's that? That looks pretty good. Let's just seal that up since we're done with it. Remove it from the immediate vicinity. here. I always try and line up the where I put the tape with the back seam, or what I decide is the back seam, if it's symmetrical. As in this case. Stitch EXP 626, hello! Nice to see you. Welcome, welcome. We're almost done, unfortunately, but welcome regardless. Do this every week, so fear not. All right, there we go. 2 sets of boning in, done. I can take this mask off now. Thankfully. Alright, so the danger honey is sealed. The ventilation is still going.
Looking for Wells. Just say, wow, it's hard to read without my glasses. Give her a good Wells. Decided to give you a follow and say hello. Nice to see you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Okay, there we go. Mask mic is off. There we are. And the boning is in. We are fully boned, as you can see. So, yeah, that's probably going to do it for us, I think. That is 11:35. That's all right. They're not all 2 hours long. Okay. So I promise Solidarity. I will check that the enthusiastic auto mod and try and corral it a little bit. See if I can make it be slightly less angry. But yeah, we'll go over the announcements again. Podcast recording tomorrow night, new episode on Saturday morning, pixelsandpuppets.com and or operationpuppet.com. There may be another video game stream this weekend. We will see how I feel on Saturday. If I do so, I will do it as me, not Frankie. Therefore, it will be on all the platforms. The Warframe clan is open for new members. So if you play Warframe or are curious about playing Warframe, hit me up and we can get you hooked up. And that's kind of it. So I'm working on commissions for the next few weeks. There will be more build streams, as always. All the links on operationpuppet.com. I'm trying to post more short form video stuff, so there will be pictures and videos and stuff going up all the time, as always. Like the stream on YouTube. Yes, thank you. So yeah, if you are, whatever platform you're on, even if it's the Fediverse, interactions are always welcome. In the case of not the Fediverse, they actually help the channel. In the case of the Fediverse, they just help my self-esteem. So, you know, all that good stuff. I'm going to go and, yeah, carry on with my work. So there will be pictures of all this when it gets finished. Probably by Tuesday. So yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. Monday is a holiday, so I will not be working on Monday, but I will be working on Tuesday. So there we go. Thank you everybody, as always, for joining me. And stay tuned for more good puppet stuff. I'm gonna go. I keep being bad at going. So okay. Thank you everyone. Hope to see you soon.